So let's see what can we do here. Let's say that these infantry units with a manpower value of 10 is attacked by these Confederate units with a manpower of 14. And let's say that this unit starts its activation, let's say here, and the player decides to activate this unit, planning to reach this X in order to perform an attack against this Union unit. The player rolls a die and he gets, let's say that he gets a 4, which +1, because every Confederate infantry unit gets a +1 whenever it's activated, for a total movement allowance of 5. Of course, roads, pikes and railroads negate the cost of the terrain that they cross. So let's say that the unit moves through axes, so 1, 2, it has 3 movement points left. Now, with 3 movement points, here is the chart again, the unit is not able to perform a prepared attack, which would give her a +1, but has enough movement points to perform a normal attack, which would give neither positive nor negative modifier. So the unit reaches the X and decides to perform a normal attack. I'm gonna now write down here on a paper next to the unit the different kind of values that are added in order to make this as clear as possible. So the first thing that you do is that you calculate the total firepower of the 2 units, and you do that by adding up the artillery plus the combat value. So, for example, in this case, the defense value of the Union is 11. It's 10 plus 1, 11. So we have a defensive value and attack value here. The defensive value, as we said, is 11. And the attack value here is for the artillery plus 14, which is a total of 18. Now, it's not yet over. Why? Because according to the terrain that the defender occupies, you multiply the artillery value. So, if you attack in a clear X, the attacker artillery is multiplied by 1. So, in the case of the attacker, then 4 multiplied by 1 is 4. So we're gonna add to the attack value 4. The defender instead gets the defender's artillery instead is multiplied by 2. So in this case 1 multiplied by 2 equals 2. So the total defensive value and attack value is 13 to 22. Now there are a few factors that you consider. First of all is the ratio, which is always rounded, the ratio here, which is always rounded in favor of the defender. So in this case 13 and 22 equals a 1, 1. So there is basically no ratio modifier, so plus 0. The other factor you count is the difference in the tactical value. So in this case Jones has a tactical value of 3, while White here has a tactical value of 1. You add the difference, so 3 minus 1 equals 2. As we have seen, there is no modifier for performing a normal attack, so the unit gets, let's say, a +0. I'm just trying to write everything. The defending unit doesn't get any modifier. The only modifiers a defending unit gets is whether it defends across a creek, or if it defends in a city, or if it defends through a bridge or a fort. So this is the final situation. Okay, these are all the modifiers that that can be counted. Other modifiers are, I'm not gonna get through into it, if there are other units surrounding the defending unit, and you can see here that you can get a bonus according to how you manage to flank the unit. Then you roll 2 dice. The grey is the Confederates and the blue is the Union, and then you add these modifiers. So in this case we have 5 plus 2, 7, and 4. So now let's invert, because what happens is that you must always subtract from the total of the attacker the total of the defender. So you get here a total of 3. Once you get this number, you take the chart here and you cross-reference the number 3, and you cross-reference the number 3 with the defending value, which in this case, as we've seen, the defending value is 13, so you would cross-reference this column with the number 3, which gives as a result 1 DR. 1 in this case means that the unit loses 1 manpower, and usually in every scenario, whenever a unit loses 1 manpower, gets point for it. D, it means that the unit is disorganized, so its main strength power is flipped to its disorganized sides, and automatically reaches a fatigue level of 4, which means it cannot be activated anymore. And R, it means that it must retreat. As you can see, there are 2 different R, a small and a capital R here. The difference is that if you get a small R, you can retreat in every direction you want, of course with some restriction, between 2 and 4 axes. Capital R means that the unit is routed, and in that case, when the unit is routed, it gets the demoralized marker, and it must retreat of 4 axes. So let's say that in this case it's not too bad for the Union units, and you do the same thing. You cross-reference the attack value, which in this case is, as we say, 22, so you get this column here, and you cross-reference with 3, which gives the result of 2DA. No, yes, 2DA. So the attacker loses 2 manpowers, is also disorganized, and the A means that can advance if the unit, if the X is left vacant by the defender, and in this case it was left vacant because, as we see, the unit had to retreat, so the unit can advance here. This is how movements and combat works. There is another important form of combat, which is the corps attack. The corps attack is when a leader, like Longstreet here, let's say it's stacked with several units. Here Walker and Jones. What happens is that you can attack with the all units stacked within it. Only the unit stacked, not the unit in the command range. And what you do is that every unit gets is strength marker increased by 1. Not strength marker, sorry, fatigue level increased by 1. Okay. And what you do after this, you roll to see if actually a corpse assault may take place. So you roll against the command value of the leader 5. If you roll 5 or less, then the corpse assault take place. But let's say that you roll 6, then the corpse assault doesn't take place, but still the unit receive one more fatigue level. Now, here is where the army leader come into play. Let's say that here there is Longstreet who wants to perform a corpse assault, and let's say that the corpse assault is actually taking place. Okay, at this point, if the army leader is within the command range of the leader, okay, you roll against the command value of the army leader to see if, and if you roll in this case 5 or less, what happens is that you can activate all the units adjacent to the defending, even if they are not stacked with the leader that is being activated. And this is called the Grand Assault, and this is basically the only function that the leader has in the game. Lee, on top of that, Lee, if it's stacked with a unit, Lee gives a +1 bonus whenever a unit is performing an attack.